Chapter 4. The Splintered Silence. The Undercroft's chill seeped into Harry's bones as he sat against the stone pillar. Ron's words echoed louder than the dripping water. "Play your little games with Snape. See if I care." The finality in Ron's voice had been absolute. Harry pressed his palms against his temples. The cracked mirror's vision haunted him, his older self standing alone amidst Hogwarts' ruins. That future felt terrifyingly close now. The isolation wasn't just a reflection anymore. It was taking shape in the hollow space where his best friend had stood. The cold draft of the patched mirror felt warm compared to this. Harry stood stiffly. Hiding wouldn't mend anything. He needed to face the common room. Hermione would be there. She'd understand, or try to. The stone door groaned open. He stepped into the dungeon corridor. Torchlight flickered violently as he passed. Shadows pulsed like living things. The whispering had returned, faint, insistent. Alone, unwinding. He quickened his pace. The castle felt less like a home, more like a cage of shifting glass. The fat lady swung open at his mumbled password. Warmth and noise hit him like a wave. Laughter echoed from a corner where Dean and Seamus played Exploding Snap. Near the fire, Ron sat hunched on a sofa. His back was rigidly turned. Ginny shot Harry a worried look from her armchair. Hermione wasn't visible. Ron didn't turn. His shoulders were tense knots under his robes. Harry moved toward the dormitory stairs. Avoidance felt cowardly but necessary. Hermione stepped from the girls' staircase, blocking his path. Her eyes darted to Ron, then back to Harry. Worry etched deep lines on her forehead. "Harry," she whispered urgently, pulling him aside. "What happened?" Ron stormed in earlier. He wouldn't speak, just glared at the fire. She searched his face. "And you look awful. Where were you?" "I checked everywhere after dinner." Harry sighed, running a hand through his hair. "7th floor corridor. I had to patch something. For Snape, Ron found me leaving." He glanced towards Ron's stiff back. It didn't go well. He couldn't bring himself to repeat Ron's accusations. The betrayal in his friend's voice still stung. Hermione's expression tightened. "For Snape?" she repeated, her voice low but sharp. "Harry, you know how Ron feels about him, especially after that detention last week. Snape practically accused him of sabotaging the Boomslang skin stores." She bit her lip, frustration warring with concern. "And this, patching? Is it about the mirror, the cracks? You barely told me anything after Pansy." Her eyes narrowed. "Keeping secrets is exactly what Ron thinks you're doing. And honestly, it's what it looks like." Harry flinched. "It's dangerous, Hermione. Really dangerous. Snape said the mirror's a weak point, that things could be getting in or leaking out. The stabilizer was just a temporary fix." He lowered his voice further. "The cracks, they were silver before. Now they're violet. And the whispering, it's back, stronger." Hermione paled slightly. "Leaking out? What kind of things?" She instinctively looked around the room, her gaze lingering on a polished suit of armor near the entrance. Its reflection seemed slightly distorted. "Snape actually believes that? Dark entities manipulating reflections? It sounds like something from Most Potente Artifacts of the Damned." Her academic curiosity warred with fear. "We need proper research. The restricted section might have something on dimensional incursions through reflective surfaces." "Research?" Ron's voice cut across them. He'd turned on the sofa, his eyes cold. "Is that the next secret mission? More library trips with Parkinson?" He stood, his hands clenched at his sides. "Save your breath, Hermione. He won't tell you anything useful, just enough to keep you running in circles." He looked directly at Harry, the hurt raw beneath the anger. "You reckon you're the only one who can handle dangerous things? That we're just baggage?" "No, Ron," Hermione interjected, stepping between them. "That's not fair. Something is wrong. The mirror, the flickering lights, the whispering Harry mentioned." She gestured wildly. "Even the portraits are acting strangely. Nearly Headless Nick spent 10 minutes trying to remember his own name yesterday." Ron's jaw tightened. He looked from Hermione's earnest face to Harry's strained one. "Fine," he spat, the word brittle. "You two figure out the great mystery. Let me know if you need someone to hold a torch or carry your secrets." He shoved past them, knocking a small pile of books off a nearby table. They scattered across the floor. He didn't look back as he stomped up the stairs to the boys' dormitory. The door slammed shut. Hermione flinched. She knelt, mechanically gathering the fallen books. Her hands trembled. "He's hurting, Harry," she murmured, not looking up. "He feels shut out, ignored. And whatever this is, it's making everything worse." She stood, clutching the books to her chest like a shield. "I need to understand. I'm going to the library. Now, before curfew. There must be records." Her expression was resolute, the familiar thirst for knowledge momentarily overriding the tension. "We can't fight shadows without knowing what they are." Harry started to protest, the memory of Snape's warning about other reflective surfaces sharp in his mind. "Hermione, maybe it's not safe. Safer than staying here watching you two tear each other apart," she said flatly. Lockhart's old office had that shattered vanity mirror they cleared out last month. The fragments were supposed to be vanished. What if one wasn't? What if the corruption spreads? She headed for the portrait hole. "I'll be careful. I'll look for anything on mirrors, fractures, dimensional rifts, manifestations." The fat lady swung open. "We need answers, Harry, before whatever's leaking out decides to walk around." She disappeared into the corridor. Harry stood alone amidst the cheerful chaos of the common room. The fire crackled. Dean laughed at a card explosion. Ginny watched him, sympathy in her eyes. The gulf between him and Ron felt like a physical chasm. Hermione's determination was a lifeline, but Snape's words echoed. A damaged mirror could become a locus, a weak point. The library was full of glass-fronted cabinets, polished tables, old spectacles, full of reflections. The minutes crawled. Harry paced by the fire. Ron didn't reappear. The whispering in Harry's mind grew louder, a chaotic murmur beneath the common room noise. Fragments, feed, fear. He checked his watch. Hermione had been gone nearly an hour, past curfew. A cold dread, different from the mirror's chill, settled in his stomach. This silence felt wrong, heavy. He climbed the stairs to the boys' dormitory. Ron was lying on his bed, staring at the canopy, his face set in stony anger. "Ron," Harry said, forcing his voice steady. "Hermione's not back. She went to the library over an hour ago." Ron didn't move, didn't look at him. "Ron, listen. She went to research the mirror. Snape said the corruption could spread to other reflective surfaces. The library's full of them." Ron rolled over, his back to Harry. "She's a big girl, knows the rules, probably lost track of time with a particularly fascinating footnote." The sarcasm was thick, but Harry heard the underlying thread of concern. "This isn't about rules," Harry insisted, frustration bubbling over. "The mirror whispers, Ron. It showed me alone, and Pansy saw smoke behind her dad. It's not just spooky. Hermione went looking for answers, and now she's gone. Something's wrong. I can feel it." He took a step closer. "We need to find her. Please." Silence stretched. Then, slowly, Ron sat up. He didn't meet Harry's eyes, but the anger seemed to harden into something else. "Determination? Fear? Fine," he muttered, swinging his legs off the bed. "For Hermione. Not for you." He grabbed his wand. "But if this is some trick, Potter..." "It's not," Harry said, relief warring with the persistent dread. "I swear it's not." They moved towards the door, an uneasy truce forged in shared worry. The rift was still there, raw and deep, but Hermione's absence was a more urgent wound. They hurried down the stairs, ignoring the curious looks, and slipped out into the deserted corridor. The library was a cavern of shadows when they arrived. Madame Pince's desk was empty. Moonlight streamed through the tall windows, casting long, distorted rectangles on the floor. Dust motes danced in the beams. The silence was absolute, oppressive. "Hermione," Harry called, his voice echoing unnervingly. "Hermione!" Ron joined in, his call sharper, edged with fear. "Granger!" No answer. They moved deeper into the stacks, wands lit. The light glinted off glass-fronted bookcases, creating shifting, fractured reflections. Harry's Lumos beam caught something on a study table near the restricted section entrance. Hermione's familiar beaded bag. Beside it, a large leather-bound tome lay open. Reflections and rifts, the thinnest of the glass. And beside the book, resting on a page depicting a complex diagram of shattering light, was a jagged piece of mirrored glass. It was about the size of a galleon. Its edges looked lethally sharp. Ron reached it first. "Her bag," he breathed, picking it up. "She never leaves this." His gaze fell on the mirror shard. It reflected the dim library aisle, but the reflection was subtly wrong. The bookshelves seemed to curve unnaturally. The shadows writhed. A faint, icy cold radiated from it. "What is that? Where did it come from?" Harry stared at the shard. It pulsed with the same bruised violet light as the patched cracks on the Mirror of Erised. Snape's warning screamed in his mind. An incursion point. It's corrupted, Harry whispered, horror dawning. Like the big mirror, a splinter. He looked around wildly. Hermione? Hermione! His gaze snapped back to the shard. As he watched, the distorted reflection within it shifted. The warped image of the library aisle blurred. For a fraction of a second, it cleared. He saw bookshelves, but they were tilted at impossible angles. The books shimmered like mirages. And there, trapped between two leaning shelves, looking small and terrified, her wand raised defensively against shifting, shadowy forms, was Hermione. Her mouth was open in a silent scream. Hermione, Ron gasped, seeing it too. He lunged for the shard. She's in there! Harry grabbed Ron's arm. Don't touch it. Remember Snape, it could pull you in too. But Ron shook him off, his eyes fixed on the trapped image of their friend. I'm not leaving her in there, Ron snarled. His earlier anger dissolved into pure panic. He snatched up the mirror shard. The violet light flared blindingly. A wave of intense cold washed over them. The whispering surged into a deafening roar. The library dissolved into a whirlwind of distorted light and sound. The ground vanished. They were falling, not down, but through. The world fractured into a kaleidoscope of broken images. Fleeting glimpses of familiar Hogwarts stonework twisted into impossible shapes, books floating in midair, eyes watching from swirling darkness. The cold was absolute, biting deep into their bones. The roar subsided into a cacophony of whispers, laughter, and distant screams, all overlapping and discordant. They landed hard on a surface that felt like frozen sand. The air shimmered with refracted light. Before them stretched the Hogwarts library, but rebuilt by a madman. Bookshelves leaned precariously or floated upside down. Staircases spiraled into voids. The very air seemed made of splintered glass. And somewhere in that fractured labyrinth, Hermione was lost. Ron scrambled to his feet, his face pale but determined. Harry raised his wand. They stood at the edge of a world of cracked reflections, the path ahead unwinding into terrifying splinters. Length. Medium chapter completed, approx 100 words. Assessment. Chapter establishes emotional stakes through the Ron-Harry rift, introduces the mirror dimension threat via Hermione's capture, and forces the protagonists into the arc's core conflict. Pacing balances dialogue tension with action escalation. Editor notes, key narrative alignment directly triggers the cracked reflections arc premise, Hermione trapped in mirror dimension. Character development explores the fractured Harry-Ron dynamic under pressure, showcases Hermione's proactive research leading to peril. Style consistency maintains third-person limited POV, primarily Harry, past tense, and descriptive language matching previous chapters. Continuity directly follows Chapter 3's argument and mirror patching, references Snape's warnings, Pansy's experience, and castle instabilities. Structural flow moves from Undercroft reflection, common room confrontation, library disappearance, mirror dimension entry with clear scene transitions. Pacing builds tension through dialogue, accelerates with Hermione's disappearance, climaxes with the dimensional plunge. Short paragraphs maintain readability.